Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Hillard with the Shane Day Mortgage Team. And, I've been doing these again a lot more consistently this year, which is a lot of fun. And, I was trying to think of what, to call this, what I'm doing. It's not really a podcast. It's not really an interview. It's really just a discussion. And it started out with a lot of real estate people, but it's kind of also ventured into other avenues. And one of the things that I love about being a mortgage lender is that allows me to connect with a lot of different people and just really be able to learn from them. So that's why you'll see this. Hey, Greg, what's going on, man? You'll see this as I'm calling it the connection, because at the end of the day, what we're all doing is connecting and trying to connect other people to provide value and enrich and enhance others' lives. And so lucky today to have my buddy Jake Wilson here, and there's few who are better at that than him, and so that we have so much ground to cover that we're going to do it in a half hour, but there's we could have 55 of these episodes, and do that in a 52-week year, right?
We can do it.
So that's just it's an easiest way to always get started. Just tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about you and your background and what you got going on.
So Jake Wilson, I'm your suited solar salesman. So I'm born and raised in Denver, not Littleton, Highlands Ranch, actually Denver City. So I love this city, and it's funny, people always talk about, oh my God, I hate everybody moving here and living here and everybody stay away. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching the city grow, where people see the amazingness that Denver is. I mean, we really are standalone in the entire region.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that we're starting to finally get that recognition from a company perspective, but also why people want to live and raise their children here. It's a great place.
Well, I moved here in 2000. I didn't know a single person out here. I moved here in 2000, and just watching the growth over 19 years has been it's really matured as a city. I know, right? It has really matured as a city.
Yes, it has.
And some good and some bad, but I think the good outweighs the bad. So
yeah, and I've loved watching the city grow. Small little facts: I was raised as a Hasidic Jew.
Okay.
So I went to Jewish day school, and yes, my graduating class in Denver was 15.
15.
Yeah, you want to talk about living in a small town in the middle of a big city?
Yeah,
where everybody knows everybody's business. That probably had a lot to do with, you'd asked me a lot about networking or growing communities. That probably had a lot to do with it when you didn't have a lot of those choices growing up. It's pretty nice when you have a lot of options there.
Yeah.
Went to University of Colorado at Boulder. I studied architecture.
Oh.
So my degree is in architecture there. And then I realized afterwards that what it looks like to be an architect is you sit in front of a computer and you do AutoCAD for about 8 hours a day for about 6 years. And then you can take an architectural licensing exam. Mm-hmm. And then you go back to AutoCAD and little stuff. And I realized I liked people a lot more and didn't want to just sit in front of a computer. And that's kind of evolved from there. I've had a couple other businesses. I've worked for a international training development firm, Landmark Education, Landmark Worldwide. Led programs there for 6 years. I still participate there. It's been 12 years of that. Wow, it's been quite a ride.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple other companies since then, a lot of which for the last 12 years has been sales oriented.
So you're a guy that I know is involved with a lot of different business ventures. So What are some of them that you have been involved with, and what are some of them that you're still involved with? Because I know that you're always looking for what's next, but also not forgetting about what you've done. So you're just putting something in place, getting it to a level where it can essentially run on its own with a little bit of work from you, and still operate at a high level, and then keep moving through. So you can continue to build. So what are some of them that you've created and are still actively involved with?
I'll give you a little bit of a broader perspective of what a business is to me. Okay. Doing the best stuff. And my father was a business coach a while ago, and I remember the best phrase I ever heard of how to define a business is something that can generate money for you without you having to be there. Mm-hmm. And when I realized a little bit later, it's like, okay, well, that's really a business, but the only way you can do that is with a team.
Yep.
Now, there are other ways to do it. There's online courses, there's residuals, there's things like that. And those are amazing. I love the subscription model. Love the subscription model. It doesn't work in every industry, but where it works, it is brilliant. So some of the businesses I've had, I created a business intelligence company using metrics and analytics because I am a numbers junkie. And that's what the Fortune 500 companies do.
So what's a business intelligence company?
So Fortune 500 companies usually have a department that looks at all the metrics and analytics that tells you the key performance indicators that if you look at, track, and manage will dictate the level of success and where to go.
Yep.
I'll give you an example of Target. So Target has always been trailing Walmart for many years. They implemented a analytics division and they started tracking people's purchases. Now they were able to see what things they could put on sale that if they offered a deal on this one product, that everybody else would come in and buy the rest of their stuff. They also got in a lot of trouble on this because they got really, really good at it, that they were starting to send out congratulation letters to women that were pregnant. Of course, the women started getting really upset about this because the fathers hadn't even known yet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's how good the analytics can be. So it's about taking those Fortune 500 tools and making it available for small and medium-sized businesses. I had an opportunity to then take over and run for an energy efficient window company, the sales and marketing for there. So I actually turned that company over to my father, built the Apex Energy Solutions. I was there for 6 years, helped him build into the top market in the entire country. And then I had an opportunity to kind of expand. It's like, when you hit a certain level, it's like, all right, what's that next level look like? What's that next challenge? So I turned my team over to them, back to the guys who own the Denver market. And I started doing more sales team building, sales team consulting. Because, I got this. I had created a unique way of how do you build a team that's sales focused, but then how do you create the management philosophies and structures to empower that, and wanted to be able to give that to the masses. And what kind of showed out after that was an opportunity to have a solar company. And given I've studied solar for 17 years back from, when I was in college in architecture, it's something I've been passionate about a long time, but I didn't just want to go work for a Solar City or an Ion or any of the big companies. I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to do it the right way. And differentiate myself from how a lot of the companies out there. And I have solar on my old house from another company. So it's like I've also learned from experience the things that you do and don't want to have happen at the same time.
Well, that's how we all learn, right? Is just what you do and don't want to do, and then just don't make that mistake again. But
the theory is solid.
Yeah, the theory is solid. It's a much more difficult theory to put into daily practice. That's for sure. So we're gonna get into the solar stuff because that's kind of your primary focus. What I would say your primary focus, or at least the one that's the most at the forefront.
Right now, absolutely. That is where the passion is.
But again, I know that there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind. And one of the things that you talked about or you just mentioned that really kind of caught my ear was, putting in the systems and building teams for salespeople. And so, on what level are you doing that? Are you working with people on an individual level? Are you working with sales teams, or are you working with sales organizations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here, what I say in regards to sales, my philosophy and what I do is the combination of the science of sales and the art of sales. They're two very different things. There really is a science. I don't care what industry it is. You give me 15 minutes with you. If you actually have the numbers, I can tell you if you do X, Y, and Z, here's how you get the result that you want. Now, it's great in theory, but how do you actually do that? How do you empower one person versus another? You could say the same thing to two different salespeople, and this person's going to be just lit up and inspired by it, and this other person is going to be demoralized and broken by it.
Yeah.
So you could have the process. The process is crucial. You can't scale anything without a system and a process. I always say, you have a great salesperson. Awesome. What happens if they get sick, or God forbid they get hit by a bus? How will you be able to get somebody else to be able to perform at that level? And if you don't have a systematic process of how to not only train somebody to get them there, but how do you manage them to maintain the daily, hourly necessary actions to be able to maintain that success, you have no ability to be able to scale.
So then what are some of the fundamentals of, without giving away everything, what are some of the...
Give it all away. Hey, if you can do it, if you think you can do it without me, by all means, go for it.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that because, in our industry and then, in the lending industry and the real estate industry, there's such a stigma around, like, it seems like people wanting to share, right? People are like, oh, like, I don't know, I can't give away that, right? But the reality is, if there's another loan officer sitting here, I could give them every one of my secrets, quote unquote secrets, tell them everything that I do from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep. And one, even if they do it, it's not going to affect my business. And two, they're probably just not going to do it anyway.
No, that's true.
And
well, there's two big things about that. I believe in the law of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
You either live in a world of abundance or a world of scarcity.
Yep.
On the second part, knowing makes no difference.
So what makes a difference?
Well, I'll give you an example. I'm sure you guys can look at this at home as well. How many people know what it takes to lose weight?
Everyone.
How do you lose weight? How does anyone
exercise
lose weight?
More and eat less?
Someone will do that,
some
right?
Version of that, yeah.
Now, is there any mystery? Do you think there's anybody in the world that doesn't know that?
No.
But it's still a multi-billion-dollar industry because knowing makes no difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people know how to not procrastinate? Do you know how to not procrastinate?
By just doing.
Yeah. Do you still procrastinate?
Everyone.
Because
everyone does.
Knowing makes no difference.
Yeah.
There's something else that's standing in the way of being able to apply what you got and be able to do it in the discipline. And again, every person's distinct, but that blind spot is what keeps people from being able to apply it. So in a sense, I'll tell people how to do all these things. Great, I'll tell you how to do it. Good luck trying to do it. I mean, if you can do it, great, but there's a lot more to it than just knowledge.
So this actually takes me back to a conversation that I had with Steph Schock. I don't know if Steph. I thought she's a mutual friend of ours, and she's a real estate coach, and she's just a fantastic person in general. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we were talking about was the difference between motivation, or being motivated, and being driven, right? And so I was listening to a podcast with David Goggins, and he was talking about motivation don't mean crap, right? Like
it's great. It just has a very short half-life.
But he's like, you get motivated by listening to a song, right? Well, what happens when the song turns off, right? You're motivated at night. Yeah, you're motivated at night. So like, I'm going to get
external
up
stimuli
and go out. But you can be motivated, wake up to go for your run to start getting in shape. And then you go to the front door and you look out and no crap, it's only 50 degrees out and it's raining. And that's not. And he's like, so that's where you have to be driven, because motivation gets you out of bed, but driven gets you out the door.
Yeah. Right.
And so how do you apply the difference of motivation to drive within the different
It's really
people?
easy. It's where's your focus?
Mm-hmm.
And people say the drive, it's really easy to say, well, are you driven? Sure. But the clearer you can get for what it is that drives you, and I'll even go into Simon Sinek, what's your why? Mm-hmm. When you can focus on why do you want to go do that run? Why do you want to follow up on this lead? Why do you want to make money? And this is the biggest thing when I look at how do you build a sales team? How do you manage a salesperson for success? If you don't know what's important and what matters to them in life, it doesn't matter what you tell them, because they can't see the value that it's going to provide for them, the difference it's going to make in their life. When you get clear for a salesperson, all right, what's important to you? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to start a family? Do you want to go on vacation? Do you want to invest in real estate? When they get clear, it's never the money. It's what that money makes available. And when people get clear, and when you as a person who's accountable for somebody else's life, when you get clear what matters to them, then you're holding them accountable for what they're committed to in their life. Simply said, my management style, I call management by commitment. Mm-hmm. It's not my commitment to you. It doesn't matter to you what my commitment is to you. It's you said you wanted this in your life. So now my responsibility is to hold you accountable for what you said you wanted. Mm-hmm. That's my job. And then I had to figure out whatever way I need to in order to keep that present for you. Yep. So it's not, oh my God, I have to run. It's, no, I'm running this marathon because I know myself as a badass and I want to lose these 10 pounds because of X, Y, and Z. I have to take care of my blood pressure, my heart, Yeah. It's a lot easier to focus on there versus, oh, I feel really good for running. It's never that. Yep. If you can focus on what that destination is and why it's important and why it matters, it's really easy to go through anything that comes up. It doesn't really stop you.
So I was going to ask you, what are some of the common mistakes that salespeople make? But listening to that, I think there's a different question. And it's, would you say that most people just aren't clear on what their why is?
Yes.
And so So most people are going to start on a surface level, I would say.
Mhm.
And so what does the process look like to dig beneath that? Like, okay, well, I want to make more
question.
money. Well, no crap, you want to make more money.
Why?
Yeah, why? Is it like a 5-year-old kid that's just, why? The sky's blue. Why? Oh, because of oxygen, there's
reflection
water
of it.
and oxygen.
Kind of, but it's not just asking why. I mean, the most important way to figure this out is to converse with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I always say it's never the answer. The answer is useless. Because once you get an answer, it's finite. There's no growth. The key is to ask the right question. If you ask the right question, you're going to find hundreds of answers, and one's going to empower you one day, but you don't get stuck on the answer, because once you're like, this is the answer, there's no growth. The question is where the growth is, or like, why am I doing this today? And once you find something, great, you go with that until it no longer carries a day, and then you create something new.
And then who do you commit that to then? Okay, so
the more you talk about it with more people, the more real it becomes to you, because then everybody in your life is going to start relating to you the way that you created that for everybody else. So they're going to start relating you as, oh, this person's committed to having a breakthrough in their fitness. Mm-hmm. So they see you about to go eat a donut, like, hey, what the heck? You said you were committed to fitness. You start holding you're going to create an entire community that's going to hold you accountable for what you created for yourself. So the way to do it is you have that conversation with as many people as possible as an inquiry, not as like I'm just going to tell you all this. Like, okay, here's really what I'm looking through. Work through it with people, because it's always more fun that way too anyways.
And so this is like a version of what people would talk about when they're saying like, well, I'm really manifesting this, right? It's just like putting the energy out there. And, some people might just be like,
well, here's the thing. You can manifest not wanting to get hit by the bus that's coming at you. You can manifest, you can positive think, you can do all that, but what do you got to do?
Avoid the bus.
Yeah, be in action. And that's so you asked, what are the main things that salespeople do? The number one thing that, let's get really, really real. Everything in this world is sales.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're either selling a product, a service, or your own ability. I don't care what job you have. You're selling something. You're selling your own ability to do this one little job of IT or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, number one thing that nobody ever does, especially in the world of sales, is you got to know where your leads are coming from, and you got to track everything. Mm-hmm. If you don't know where your leads are coming from, if you don't know how often you're able to convert them, if you're not tracking what's working or not working in those conversations, you're never going to be able to grow, especially in real estate. Real estate agents are probably some of the worst at it, because you have to treat it like a business. Mm-hmm. The ones that do flourish, I'm going to use Delroy as an example, because we've had this conversation. They track everything.
And so just before, which is also part of how we know each other, right? Yeah. The Denver Gents, mm-hmm. We're in the pin. And so, who's Delroy?
So Delroy Delroy and Stewart are agents with Liv Sotheby's, and very good. They've created really a lot more of a unique approach to real estate. In fact, they partnered up now. So now everything they do is now in partnership. How many real estate agents do you know that don't do anything they do all their listings are all together. It's not done on the level of individual. Why? Because you can always accomplish more in partnership than you can together. But the key is you have to track everything. Contractors are notorious at this. All you literally have to do is follow up when somebody's interested, because now there's a whole lot in the sales process that you can do, but just check in. On average, they say you have to have 13 points of contact throughout a year to stay relevant on somebody's mind. Now in real estate, when somebody's ready to sell, they're ready to sell. If you're not on the forefront of their mind when that time comes, good luck. Because how many real estate agents do you know?
A lot.
I mean, think about how many. If you're watching this, how many real estate agents do you know?
Yeah,
massive amounts. So what are you going to do to differentiate yourself and to stay relevant on somebody's mind? That's.
So one mistake is just not knowing where. I guess they're not knowing or tracking where their leads are coming from.
Oh, I guarantee.
Right.
I mean, this is not just for real estate. Right, this is in any industry. You ask any business where their leads are coming from, they'll say, well, we're getting some from here. I'll say, well, how many?
Yeah.
If you do not know exactly what number of leads are coming from each one of your lead sources, you have no availability to impact or grow any of it.
Yeah. So then there's another quote unquote mistake in terms of the follow-up. We were talking about follow-up offline before, and just, I forget what it is, like 80% of people don't follow up more than 3 times or something.
Absolutely.
Like
well, the big component of that is the sales process. People buy emotionally, but they justify that purchase logically. 100%. So you have to have a sales process that takes somebody through in a very, very specific way that has somebody uncover for themselves as the customer what that emotional pain is that they're dealing with. Now, people are really bad at following processes in general, but when you have a sales process, if you just know if I do X, Y, and Z, somebody's going to get to this point, then and only then can you try to close them. If you try to close them before then, it's going to come across as pressure, they're just not bought into it. So a lot of the problem with follow-up is that people do a really bad job in a sales process, or they don't have an actual sales process. They're just kind of going through and trying it instead of, okay, if I really take a step back and look, what do I actually have to do with every interaction, with every potential customer, with everybody, that how do I really identify what those needs are? Not just their wants, be able to identify the needs in such a way that they see it for themselves. Now, the reason why all those follow-ups have to happen is because that work is not done at the beginning. If you do it the right way, there's no need to follow up because you've done all that work in the meantime. You're following up, hoping that now they're present to a want or need. But in most cases, everything that they saw or they got present to is already, it's gone. Because it's just like the half-life of motivation. It goes away really quick because we don't want to deal with emotional pain, like the emotional needs. And it'll make no difference. If you want a house, that's an emotional decision. When you buy a car, that's an emotional decision. Otherwise, everybody would be driving, like a really, Honda Civic. Well, why do people buy a Maserati? Why do they buy a Ferrari? Because there's an emotion attached to it. And if you can't identify and connect to that emotion, you cannot sell them consistently. We're talking, there's times you'll just get lucky, but if you want to have a high level of success in closing, you have to be able to identify that emotional pain. And people don't want to deal with pain for very long. So when you do that, you have a very slight opening, and right then and only then can you close them right there because they see something possible. And then it goes away.
Okay, so let's jump from there to, where you are now with solar, right? I know we're kind of totally like, wait a minute, we could kept going on with that for like the next hour, but let's put that on pause. Let's go over to the solar side of things right now. So, maybe even the question, like, what's the emotional pain?
Well, emotional pain in solar is really simple. You have this really great phone, right? Right?
I'll have one.
Now, let me ask, if you can't power this phone, what good is it?
0.
Now, you have this really great home.
You can't power the home?
You can't power it there, but where do you get your power from?
The utility company.
And do you have any say for what they charge?
I have 0 say.
0 say. And those rates don't ever really go down. Every once in a blue moon for a little bit, but let me tell you, they spike. The point of solar is either you're renting your solar, you're actually leasing your power from the electric company at whatever rate they want to charge you, and it goes up consistently over time. Since Xcel Energy took over in Colorado, it's had over a 63% increase since they took over in 2000.
Okay.
So since you've got here.
Since I moved here.
Since you got here, it's about a 63 in retail residential. Now, that's not going anywhere. That's double the rate of inflation. The point of solar is that it gives the power back to people. Brings the power back. Power to the people. That's the new hashtag. That will be the new hashtag. But no, you either lease your power from the electric company or you own your power, which is why there are companies that do solar leases. By the way, I'm just going to do a public service announcement. Do not ever get a solar lease or power purchase agreement on your property. It is useless to you, most importantly, because you do not get the federal tax credit that you get by putting solar in your home. The company that did the lease, they take that for themselves. So for what you're paying for your lease or your power purchase agreement, you could be owning your dang solar. Okay.
Yep. There you go.
So that's really the most crucial thing. That was the big message I want to make sure people get out. Now, when you own your own solar, you own your power. You are producing your own power. So even if you get it as a loan, which there are really great loan options out there. In fact, there's a really great program that Fannie Mae has where you can actually bundle solar power into your either home purchase or refi. Not only do you get the tax credit, but then at that point you also can write off the interest. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows about this, and nobody's educating people about this. So there are many ways in which you can do this. If you do that, you essentially are paying off your loan instead of paying Excel. You're building equity on your property instead of giving money away.
Yep.
That's the difference. It essentially will be the exact same amount. And in about 5 years, 10 years, when the electric rates just keep going up, it's going to be way less.
Is there a point? So like if there's somebody out there right now that's thinking about, maybe they're doing a new build or maybe they already have their home, right? And they're thinking about putting solar on.
Do it.
Well, is there a point where it does or doesn't make sense? So for example, like if I'm like, okay, this is my first home, I'm probably only being here for 3 to 5 years. Does that still make sense?
It depends. So it really depends on who you're working with and the rate that you're getting it at. If you're going to be there for 3 to 5 years, you can build it in because it does increase the value of your property. If you're building a home, you're probably going to be in there for usually in most cases a little bit longer. And if you do it in a new build, it's usually a little bit less expensive. You can bundle it in so you can get it at a cash rate. There is a finance rate and a cash rate for solar. Yep. There's two different ones because if you get it financed, that company has to pay for the rates to be able to give you those rates. So if you're doing it on a new build, you're getting it for less. So it ends up being less than you're paying already for it. And essentially you're paying off the loan, but when you sell the house, you already have that equity built in.
Yep.
So it is going to be, at worst case scenario, it'll be a wash. Best case scenario, if you plan on staying in the home even longer, it's a no-brainer.
So then what are
but the big reason why is the tax credit is the reason why. If you're doing it now, this is the best time to do it. If you're doing it in 4 years, it's just there's no tax credit in 4 years. It goes away.
You've done a couple things where like you've done some Facebook Lives just on your own to kind of help educate people about solar. Is that something that you're going to continue doing, or do you have any more of those where you're going to be doing them?
I will be doing more of those. The big thing I'm working right now is I'm working on a continuing education course credit for realtors, lenders, title companies, people, more so because there's a plethora of education that needs to get out there.
Yeah.
I want to make sure people know what it actually means. How does it actually work? What are the numbers behind it? When you get that education out there, the more people are known, the less likely people will get taken advantage of. I'm not saying I got taken advantage of when I got solar in my house, but there were definitely things that were not made crystal clear that did have an impact.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. So when you just get the knowledge out there, let's just say I only like win-win-win scenarios. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, the power company is the only one that does not get to win with me. It essentially is a monopoly. They're not looking out for the best interests of people. When you get that information out there and people know it, they want that information, and then you become known as an expert. That's the big reason why I want there is I want people to know what they're actually looking at. When that happens, it's really going to start holding everybody else in the industry to a higher standard. Yeah. I could charge for my company. I could charge what everybody else does for solar. I don't need to. I don't want to. Yes, I'm not an idiot. It's still going to be profitable. Right. We're 10% less than everybody else. In a lot of cases, we figured out ways to be 35% less than everybody else because I would much rather work with 10 homeowners and make a little less profit on each deal and then have great referral partners from every single one of them than to have a lot of profit on one job as somebody that's now over leveraged and doesn't have a great deal.
Right.
And even then, it's still going to be good if they're in the home long enough.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that have a lot more questions about solar just because it's such a complex.
Absolutely.
And still, I would say still a relatively unknown quantity, right? That people are probably avoiding the purchase decision for it because they just don't know about it and are, quote unquote afraid of it. So we're going to start to wrap up. Before we do, one is, where can people reach you to ask you more questions?
Facebook's great.
Okay.
Facebook, that's the simplest way. Obviously, if you're watching this, just hit me up on Facebook, message me. pretty much always should try to be very available there. You can call us on our cell phone, 720-235-8302. But honestly, just message me on Facebook.
Yeah, and I'll
Shoot
put
me a question.
I'll put all of that and your email.
Yeah, email, whatever it is.
In the comments here as well.
I'm not that hard to find.
Yeah. So, I mean, God, there's still like another question that we didn't ask, but it's, we've already kind of hit a half-hour mark.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep going. I got nowhere to be.
Well, maybe just really, really quickly, right? Like, you go out, you're a guy, you keep a super busy calendar, right? And so you're always at different things that are totally outside of the field that you're in. And so so that's the question is, like, what are you doing? We typically expect to see people networking at real estate events that are just real estate agents and lenders and maybe past clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I know you're not a past client of every networking event that I've seen you at for these things. So how do you fill your calendar? How do you find out about them? What relationships are you creating from them?
The best advice I can ever give you in the world of referral-based marketing: who does business with your ideal client?
Easy enough.
That's the simple question. Who? So if as somebody who has a solar company and wants everybody who owns a property to have an opportunity, at least be knowledgeable, to have solar on their house, who would you go to?
Yeah. Which is the same reason you're creating the CE class for the real estate industry.
It helps the lenders, it helps the homeowners, it helps everybody. If I create partnerships with lenders, they become an expert, they take care of their customers, but then everybody that you've ever done business with is my ideal client.
Yeah.
So if whatever business you're in, who's doing business with your ideal client, work with them. Where are those people? Find out where they are. Create those relationships, because if they like you, people do business with people they like.
Yeah.
If people like you, if people trust you, if people see you as knowledgeable, they want to be able to refer over. They want to be the hero that gives away that referral to somebody that's going to make the huge difference. Be that hero for them.
Yep. And then, so just to start wrapping up here then, because there's so much more from that we could just dive back into the sales. And I think we just use it's like a little Matryoshka doll. We just like keep pulling one off, and it's like there's another one, and keep going. So
great reference, by the way.
Thank you. Let's just talk, the last questions I always ask is, like, I feel like 2018 was a big, it had a lot of bumps in it for a lot of people. Yeah, that's one way to put it. So what did you learn in 2018, and what are you looking forward to in 2019?
I'd say the best thing I learned from 2018 is when you're on the roller coaster in life, when you're at the top, enjoy the view. When you're on the way down, throw up your arms and enjoy the ride. And when you're in the bottom, when you are in the lowest of the low, enjoy the rise back up. Mm-hmm. Wherever you're at, there is joy, there is opportunity, there's growth, there is an experience that you can learn from every single experience that you have. So wherever you're at, enjoy the ride, because I'm sure a lot of people have been into a hospital. When things are going up and down, it's usually a really good sign.
Yeah.
When things aren't really moving very well and not moving at all, that's not usually a good sign in life. So life has its ups, it has its downs. You have to make sure that you're seeing the opportunity and seeing the joy in each.
Did you feel like you hit all those different levels in 2018?
In multiple days at the same time. Yes,
right.
Absolutely. There was the ups, there was the downs, there was.
You felt like you were at the peak. You felt like you were at the bottom.
A little bit of all of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So then, based on that, what are you looking forward to in 2019?
So here's what I created for 2019. There's four intentions I created for 2019. It is a year of amplification.
Okay.
It's just amplifying everything in life. This is not just for me. This is for anybody that's around. You get it through osmosis, so now you get it. Amplification. It's the year of passion. It's the year of leveling up, whatever that looks like for each person. And the year of being on the court.
On the court.
Being on the court in life.
Okay. So what's that mean?
No longer, it's that nobody gets to play in the stands. You have to be on the court. You don't participate in life by yourself, alone in a room. You have to be out there. You have to be connected. I mean, the internet's a great thing. You can stay connected to people that way, but it's making sure you're connected with people.
Yeah.
And I have one little thing here as well, because we talk about business and referrals and partnership. Sir, this is for you because you are one of our solar partners and solar consultants.
Awesome.
That is for you, sir.
And it is I'll open it, but you can tell people what it is.
We call this marketing, people. So this is a solar powered portable battery pack.
That's awesome.
And if you look in the back of it, it has our logo and phone number on it.
Everybody can see that there.
So now you always have the power. I'm making sure that you always have power.
It's like He-Man, like I have the power.
Exactly. See,
Awesome.
Now that just referenced our age right there.
Yeah,
that was
that's 100% too.
So just to give you a quick little mark, the reason why on this is so rather than doing a gift card or something really easy, now you have that everywhere because it's a really, it's novelty, it catches the eye. You're going to always need, let's be honest, our batteries don't last all day. Now I have a walking business card for it. So if you want to find a way to differentiate yourself from people who are in your same industry, hence why I wear a suit, because not many solar people would wear a suit, and find a way of getting out there and create partnerships where you provide value. That's awesome. The best advice I can leave you with.
Cool. Well, that's perfect, and that's a great space a great place to wrap it up. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. It was fun. Again, anybody that has any questions, I'll put all of Jake's contact info down below, and definitely reach out to you. He's more than generous with his time and just helping educate people about whether it's questions you have on sales, creating networks, creating relationships, or even solar. So yeah. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, guys.
Have a great weekend.
Happy weekend.